Hey everybody, it's Greg Rice. We're here in the Bucket, my favorite place, and we're with the owner, the founder of GMETZ Moving. Say hello to Mr. George Metz.
Greg,
how are you?
Pleasure.
Nice
Good.
to see you
Good.
again.
You as well.
We are in a wonderful
Nook.
Tell us about the Nooks.
So the Nooks we got involved with through a local furniture vendor, and we are doing the installation. So we are receiving it first.
Yeah.
This stuff is getting shipped in from Germany. We are receiving it, then we inspect it, make sure it's good to go out, build it, sometimes in the warehouse like this one.
Yeah.
Others we are building on site for the locations they're going to. These are movable, they're on wheels, so very easy to move around, roll around in. Outlets, has everything realistically you need. I mean, if we want to go crazy, we can change some lighting, but I don't want to throw off our video. But different lights and different things like that. So these are currently being used in schools.
Okay.
The manufacturer is saying they've used these in Germany everywhere from hospitals, schools, towns, libraries, different municipality situations. Because again, you could have that one-on-one.
Mm-hmm. Anywhere.
They are using them in airports as well. Yeah. So different locations, different areas, but this where specifically the installer, receiver, and then ship out, get it to where it's got to go, wipe it down, make sure it's clean and ready to be used. Yeah. Whiteboard situation on the back, so you can actually write on it. So if this was in a school setting, you have that one-on-one teacher-student, and you can be writing on the wall, making it colorful. Same thing with the back side. It's a full whiteboard top to bottom. So again, you could use it even as a classroom divider.
Interesting.
So depending on the school, they've been using it in all different settings, from smaller classroom sizes to, we've seen it in cafeterias, we've put them in libraries, we've put them in the hallways of different areas in the schools that were just an open area. Now it has a place to learn, or even just sit outside of the classroom while you're doing your job, or learning and again teaching. So these are specifically what we've been doing with them, but uses are endless.
What is the brand?
It is actually Nook. So
That's the
name of the company is Nook. They have Nook. This is a shelter. This is the full Nook. Then we have a Nook shelter, which is more on the handicap side, because again, you have to get up. This has a ledge, where the other product that we're dealing with Nook is a shelter, no table in it. It actually has a shelf instead of a table. A little bit different, but it allows somebody in a handicap situation, wheelchair, or maybe they're not as mobile. They can get into it, still have the same interaction, still has cushions, still has the light, does everything this does, just no floor. So that way, again, everybody can use it.
How about if Nook's watching, do they make one with a door?
We haven't seen it yet.
So that way you can have a private or quiet, taking a test or filling something out. That'd be cool to have like a little, maybe here and here.
Yeah, they haven't seen them yet. When we were dealing with them, we will be the largest installer of Nook come the end of this project. By the end of it, we will be 167 of these, over 200 total between these and the Nook shelter. We will be their largest furniture installer in the Northeast at that point, if not the entire country.
And how did you land that relationship?
All through the vendors that we're dealing with locally that actually bought the furniture. So that has got us in with their, in communication with them. So they've called, how is this working? We've had them change things because they've been mass producing them for a very long time, but not at the amount that we are providing currently for these schools and municipalities locally. And with that, we've had them change some stuff. Make it easier on the install side, make it easier even on the manufacturing side. Some steps were a little redundant and repetitive, or a small, if you think of the nightstands and dressers that people are buying now that have the cam locks and the screws and it's particle board, there are a few pieces on this that are the same way. And they were sending a much heavier duty bracket that came with it. And we're like, we could stand on these things at a 200 plus pounds. I could stand on it and it won't bend. And I'm like, the small little plastic pieces that you're using, adds about 20 minutes onto the job that isn't required
Got you.
because of the brackets. So they went back, they adjusted, they realized, they did some more testing, and they say, hey, you guys, you know what, you're right. Let's skip that step altogether. It isn't necessary. Originally, it was on their first version of this. Their first version was a little bit wider and a little bit taller. So with that, they were throwing every angle bracket at it. They just wanted to overproduce it and make sure it was strong. Then they realized the more that they're trying to move these things around at a location that they built them, it can't be done because
it can't fit through a door.
Exactly. This one I think is 34 inches wide.
Right.
The originals were around 38 to 40.
Right. Most
doors are 36, 38, somewhere in that range. Right. So then you add the height to it.
Right.
If you're in the commercial setting, you know, door stops, door returns, those were all getting in the way. So they realized they had to shorten it a little bit, thin it down enough.
And this
is more than enough for two grown adults sitting in here. More than enough space.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just one of the things that we do on the furniture and commercial side.
And now let's talk about your two locations. We're here in the Bucket. They also have an office up the way in Seekonk.
Correct.
So what's going on in both of those locations?
So our Pawtucket location is mainly for our residential clients. Is how we're setting it up, how we're going towards that. So this is residential clients, and it really depends on where they're located as well, right? We're not going to bring somebody from Seekonk, Barrington, Riverside, depending on where they are, right? Riverside is pretty close, right? In the bridge and everything that we have to deal with. So one client, you know, again on this side, Pawtucket, that area, definitely going to come here. People coming maybe from Portsmouth, Middletown, Newport, they might be going to the Seekonk. But our goal truly is to have one location, this one, more for our residential clients that are coming in and out, maybe long-term storage. We have clients in here from 2010 or further back. Wow. And then also, you know, our Seekonk location normally is more for the shipping and receiving of stuff like this, normally. So we're trying to keep our commercial division over in the Seekonk area, our residential division for storage over here, just to make it that much easier when, you know, again, an office calls, hey, is my stuff in? We don't have to come check this big warehouse.
It might be.
Right. So we just streamlining it, you know, getting it straight, getting it leveled out, because eventually our goal would be to own our own location somewhere, and we want to make sure that when we're looking, we have enough square footage, how we have two locations now. When we're looking, we've been looking for years, been doing this myself in business now 14 years. Wow. And with that, we've never found our perfect home yet.
Where is it though?
Where is our perfect home?
Where would it be?
We want Rhode Island.
Somebody might be watching that has the location.
Yeah. So we are, our goal is to be Rhode Island. Right. Currently, we have Seekonk and Pawtucket, so Mass and Rhode Island. Our goal would be to come home to Rhode Island fully.
Providence, Warwick, Cranston.
Providence, Warwick, Cranston. I mean, we would go probably furthest south. We would want to drop a location. Would probably be East Greenwich.
West Warwick.
Would go to West Warwick if we found the right location, but. Also, we look at it as highway access. Yeah. We look at it as traffic patterns, fueling locations. You know, we're sending out 6 or more trucks a day. We want to make sure that we have a good fueling location that we can get in and get out of. And then also, what type of traffic are we dealing with? When we took over a competitor, they were over in Cranston, great location, but the morning traffic and the afternoon traffic in that area was horrible. So we said, you know, we got to get out of that location. We got to find a better area. And we just haven't been able to find one that has the size that we're looking for and the ability to park our vehicles. So there's a lot that goes into finding what we're looking for. Okay. Ideally, we're probably looking in the 28,000 or better on the square footage.
Okay, so this is what?
This one is just under 15,000 square feet.
So double this guy.
Yep, double this, because our other location is at 9,000 square feet.
So that would
a
little bit more.
Right, give us a little bit more growth area, a little bit more growth space, but it would be something that, again, we're looking for our forever home now, right? As we deal with residential clients all the time, hey, we found our dream house, And I'm always thinking, all right, what's our dream location, right? How many loading docks? How many trucks can we fit there? Is it going to have good tractor trailer access? Parking, overnight parking for the long distance people that are driving in. Again, this shelter that we're sitting in comes from Germany, so it gets shipped in. The truck drivers who show up might be from New Jersey,
right,
and they're bringing it up to us, or it could be coming from a different port. And now they're trucking it down to us. They might sit out in our lot, which luckily we have the space now. But when we're looking in the future, we want to make sure that we can accommodate for tractor trailers showing up and having a nice, safe, lit location that they could park, sleep, not have to worry about their trucks getting vandalized.
Right.
I mean, those are the things that we look at when we're looking, not just, all right, it's 28,000 square feet. Great, stamp it. Let's go.
Right.
It
looking at
that.
the whole ecosystem.
Yep. And then also, what can we bring to that community, right? And vice versa. What can that community bring to us? That's what we're looking to as well. So, again, Cranston. I'm a Johnston guy, born and raised in Johnston. So to me, that location be a good area. But again, there's not much commercial living for that size in these areas, or they're already just taken up, or they've been converted into a jump park or a
marijuana
or marijuana dispensary. These things are popping up everywhere, and I mean, hey, good for them. They're making their money. They got to do their thing, but it's also
scarce.
It is scarce. They're taking a lot of the good space, and anything that's dry and clean, they're scooping it up immediately because
and they're retrofitting it, and they're the best tenant ever.
Yeah, they're paying on time. They're doing
time.
And some pay in advance, just because they're cash flow heavy, right? And it's a great business model. I wish I got into it earlier, right? Because our
now
warehouse
we're just customers,
right. Now we just move them, and we did some work for some of the dispensaries of setting up some of their shops as well. But again, it's different business, right? Same thing. Restaurant, same thing. They have overhead. They have everything they need to do. It's a business. They're just grabbing the good space immediately, and you can't blame them. I mean, if we were in a cash flow situation like these places, we'd be doing the same thing.
That's a free market.
It is.
That's how it should be.
And it should. Regulate it the way you should, but over regulation kills businesses 100%. As well. So you have to find that perfect medium. It's the same thing with us, right? We have a license for Rhode Island, Massachusetts. We have our long distance licensing, so we have to keep up with all of our licensing. So we get it, right? But we also want to make sure that our competitors are doing the same thing, right? And that goes right down to the dispensaries, like we were just saying. You could have a good dispensary go bad over who they're dealing with.
100%.
We want to do the same thing, right? We know what's out there for competitors. We know, I don't waste my time on how many trucks are they sending out. We're worried about us, which is different than a lot of our competitors. Worried about what everybody else is doing. We focus on us, and that's why we're growing. That's why we still have people going out. But again, we have to keep up with all of our licenses, all of our insurances, and that's what keeps us above board and happy customers, right? And keeps us legit.
And what was the inception of GMETZ? Was that 2010 that you started?
So 2010.
What was the idea? Was it on a napkin? Were you hanging out and said, or is it in the family business? Did you sprout off and do it on your own? Like, what was the story?
So all of it, yes. So everything you just said was a yes. All of it. So it started, right? Everything was yes. Started originally scrap piece of paper, right? I still, believe it or not, I still have the original notebook that I started with.
Wow.
Of first page was what the stuff I knew immediately, right? I'm a fourth generation mover. Wow. I have been doing this my entire life. So four generations worth.
So your dad's dad, your great grandfather.
So my great grandfather on my mother's side, not my dad's side, right?
Okay,
so my great grandfather was a mover. He worked for a moving company.
What was his name?
Jesse.
Jesse, last name?
Crum. I think he would be senior. Because then my great grandfather was Jesse Crum Jr.
Okay.
He was the guy who taught me everything I know plus some. Just an all-around, to me, great guy, new moving, without disrespecting anybody's religion. To me, he was a god of moving.
Gotcha.
He knew his stuff, came up to maybe half of my height, but was one of the strongest men I have ever met. Wow. If you weren't ready for his handshake, you were walking away holding your hand.
Gotcha.
But the man knew moving, right? He grew up in it. He had a lot of children involved with it. And he was actually in Pawtucket for the longest time. When he retired, 2 family businesses opened up, competing. They were ready to kill each other. I worked back and forth between the two for a little while. Then I solely worked for an uncle for about 10, 11 years, if not a little bit more than that. I always wanted more. I have a background in automotive as well, as I was always working in the moving industry. I loved working on cars, working on motorcycles, and I have in the past.
Here and there,
depending on what it is, and now I just sometimes the time doesn't add up to what we're trying to deal with, right? So for us, I was doing it when I could, when we needed to, if money was tight, if it was
quick on the road,
right? Keep something on the road. I know how to hop in there and really dive deep. But I'm not going to rebuild a motor on one of these trucks.
Gotcha.
I might do it for a friend on a side and help somebody rebuild their motor and have a good time with it, but not for money, for the fun of it, right? That's the way I would look at that, and that's when I realized moving was really more of my passion than working on cars.
Got you.
So that brought me back into it even deeper. Was solely working there. I asked for the opportunity to grow in that facility. I was the vice president already there on the operations side, running the crews, pricing the jobs. And I said, if I'm doing this for somebody else, let me try to at least extend where I am here.
Yeah.
And I was at the top. There wasn't any more room to grow. And I always say it, I keep my hair short, but if I was pulling my hair out and going gray for somebody else,
wouldn't be worth it.
It isn't worth it.
It's not fair.
And it isn't.
A lot of people do that, though.
And a lot of people do, but you need those people.
Right, 100%.
Right? So if you have that good employee that busts their butt and shows up, whether it's raining, snowing, and they're just loyal to a fault almost, well, you have to be loyal back.
100%.
And if you're not, maybe they turn into your worst nightmare of competition. Maybe they don't have that drive. So I think sometimes you, as a business owner, you weigh that out. If I don't treat this employee well, is he going to turn into my worst nightmare in 3 years and be our biggest competition? And sometimes that happens in all different industries, right? I mean, you look at any big business, there was a business that they had to fight against, right? And sometimes they came from that business. So they were part of that big conglomerate. And they said, but you're doing it wrong. You're not doing it the right way. Maybe you're not treating the people right. Maybe your product is lacking, but you're okay with sending it out. Those were the people who said, I can't be involved with this. If we're going to send something out, it's going to be grade A.
Correct.
Or if we're going to have staff, we're going to treat this staff the best they can be treated. So they don't want to go anywhere. But if they do, they're set up for success when they get to where they're going. And those are the things that we try to do with our employees. If, we've lost some great employees, but they don't go to another moving company. They don't go to another furniture install company. They start a different career or their own business or truck repair people that worked here. And all of a sudden they're running their own 24-hour, 7-day-a-week on-site truck repairs. And so those are the things that we try to build out of here. It's really a good place to work with caring and pride in what they do because it will snowball. And that's what we look for. On that, but with that 4 generations worth. So to me, when I started that notebook, first thing I was like, all right, what are our trucks going to look like, right? What do they need for equipment? And then it was okay. That page is done. Now let's go out and get a truck and the equipment.
Right.
And then okay, what's next? I was a mover turned business owner, not a business owner turned mover. Right. So to me, it was the easy stuff. How many dollies? How many pads? How many of the things that we use on a regular basis do we need? And then from there, how does that relay into employees? What type of employees do we want? It wasn't like, I want John. I worked with him. He was a great guy. I want him. It was, what was John's qualities?
Correct.
Right? So it was
not the person.
The person. It was the qualities. And I have that still on a piece of paper of, okay, they show up, they hold doors for people, like just common courtesy.
Yes, please, thank you, ma'am.
Right, and thank you, sir. Let me get that door for you. We're in and out of apartment complexes, condo associations. We're in and out of
homes.
People's homes.
They're private spaces.
Right, and we want to make sure that these people feel comfortable. You're not going to feel comfortable with the rough and gruff, guy that's just there to grab your stuff and go.
No logo on
Right,
the shirt,
no-
not cleanly
Right.
groomed,
Kept up, you know.
smells like pot.
Yeah, there is no time for that.
Yes.
At least not first thing in the morning for these folks. Like, I mean, there's a time and a place for everything. And at 7 o'clock in the morning, getting your trucks prepared to go out on the road is not the time you want to have guys smoking their stuff or coming in hungover. Right. We're going out into people's homes. We're communicating with people. And for us, we could do a great job today, great job tomorrow. And then all of a sudden, Wednesday, a customer has a bad experience for whatever the reason is. Something gets damaged, something gets chipped. Maybe the guy showed up a little late. Whatever the case is, that customer now is upset. We do everything we can to make that customer happy, make them realize things do go wrong, things can go wrong, but it's how we follow through with it, how we keep up with it. And then our guys realizes that bad day isn't going to reflect Thursday, Friday, Saturday, in the next week.
Independent trial.
Right. But also, 2 weeks later, all of a sudden, that customer has written a bad review, has talked negative about us for whatever the reason is, even though we're still trying to work with them, we're still trying to get it solved. But, I mean, people want instant now. They want instant gratification. And if it comes to an insurance claim, I mean, if anybody deals with insurance out there, they know it's not, all right, you put your claim in on Monday, you're getting paid by the end of the week. So there is time and effort that goes into even a claim, right? So those are the things that we try to keep minimal. But also the guys realize is if they do a horrible job today, it won't affect their paycheck for another week or two. Because now the bad word gets out there. Who saw that review and says, oh, you know what? I just saw that review. I'm going to have to postpone my move. And then all of a sudden they cancel because they were worried about that one upset customer. But then all of a sudden that review is resolved. 2 weeks later, takes a month sometimes. All of a sudden they're up to date, right? They're whole. All of a sudden the review is taken down. It's no longer there. Or they say, oh, you know what? They did everything they were supposed to.
I'm going to change it.
I'm going to change it. I'm going to take it down. That's what we're going for. Things do happen. But it's when you understand it going in. I mean, we're not going there and throwing your stuff and treating it like junk. But something's going to happen. And it's how we follow up with it, the repair guys that we use. Sometimes we do it in-house. Sometimes we sub it out to another company altogether. I say sub out, but give it to the people who know what they're doing. Right, the professional furniture repair guy that it was just one step up from the abilities that we have.
A handyman.
Right. So those are things that we still try to strive on. But again, going back to that old notebook, it was always, what does the future look like? How do you get there? And it was the original road plan, right? The roadmap. And then from there, it spilled into another notebook. And then all of a sudden it was, you know, I'm setting up my corporation or first sole proprietor, getting all that information in there. Then we're bigger than a sole proprietor or what it should be or how it protects you.
Right.
So then we said, you know what, we got to go deeper. We incorporated, and really to protect ourselves, to protect our clients, to make sure that we're licensed and we're legit across the board, so nothing can fall through the cracks. If a guy slips and falls on your stairs, you don't have to worry about them coming back to sue the homeowner. We don't hire subcontractors; they're all employees. So if something does happen, there are people. We know who they are. We trust them.
Infrastructure and accountability in place.
Exactly. So,
and one thing that George mentioned to me, I think it was, we were at Emilio's, was it his Christmas party?
Could have been. Yep. Christmas party. Maybe their award banquet that they had there.
And you were talking about this topic of when stuff breaks, this is what we do.
Yep.
And to me, that was important because it wasn't like, oh, nothing happens. Or, oh, we didn't see that happen. He's already got the plan in place because he knows he's going to hit the wall, maybe. He knows he might tear the fabric, maybe. They're going to do whatever they can to not do that.
Right.
But just that conversation tells me all I need to know.
Right. We're prepared.
Prepared.
I've been doing it my entire life. And when I say that, I mean, I was 8 years old on a moving truck with my grandfather, an uncle, or a cousin sitting next to me. And, you know, they took pride in their work back then. And that's what we're trying to get now, is to take pride in it. So when something does go wrong, it was an honest mistake.
Right.
Not neglect.
All right. And I got it. Don't worry about it, Mrs.
Right.
Jones.
Yep.
I got it.
Yep. And then it's the process. We gather images of the damage. We say if it's something that we feel as though we could do in-house, we set up the appointment.
Bang it out.
We go out, we try to get it done as fast as possible. Then there are other situations where maybe one or two items are a little bit beyond our capability. So we're sending that out to our repair guy. How soon can you get there? This isn't a guy that works for us. So it's on his schedule. There's been clients that he's had to go out to a month and a half after the damage happened, but he's already set up the appointment. He's talked to the customer. He's set up all that, and then the bill comes to us for whatever that damage was. So again, sometimes it's quick and easy. I mean, we had one. It was probably 6-7 years ago. We scratched a door with the foot of a couch when it was going out of the house. It was closing day. The walkthrough was happening at 12:30. The homeowner was worried because there's now a brand new scratch in their front door. And it was myself. I ran down there, grabbed a piece of the paint chip, went to a store, got the right paint, got everything, came back, fixed the door, got it all cleaned up. Before the walkthrough even happened, put a little wet paint sign on it. That homeowner was happy. The new homeowner coming in was extremely happy. Everything was good over, half pint of paint at that time, probably $15.
Right.
And yeah, there was time that goes into it, but time has to go into your business.
100%.
And if it doesn't, then what are you putting your time to? So to us, yeah, there's time spent on putting out the small fires on a daily basis, but then there's also time for future growth thoughts.
100%.
How do we get there? What's
the future?
Right. From that first page, how many notebooks in, and what does that look like now? Where are we heading to? What do we go back to and pull out of the 101, step one? And now all of a sudden that's now the third floor, room 303. And we didn't realize that first step was such a big step in the future.
To get you there.
So those are the things that we try to look at, and then also get it into our workers. Big picture thinking. If we both have a Sharpie and I say, draw your Christmas tree, and I'll draw my Christmas tree on this whiteboard, and we do that, yours is going to look completely different, potentially, than mine, right? But if we have somebody on the back side of the camera saying, all right, guys, I want a stick Christmas tree. I want 5 branches on one side, 4 on the other. Still going to look different, but it's going to be a much closer end result when you have somebody stating, these are the steps we have to follow.
This is it.
Right. Draw your vertical line first, guys, in brown.
Yes.
Okay, so if everybody's following that step,
It should look somewhat similar.
going to look somewhat similar. So at the end result, we're going to be pretty dang close to what we're looking for. Those are the things that we try to instill every morning when it's the dispatch guy taking care of the trucks, the operation manager, the warehouse manager, the crew leaders. We're trying to make sure that they understand what goes into a successful, happy move versus just going out, getting the job done, moving on. We're here to build long-term relationships, right? When my grandfather was doing it, you were moving people every 15 to 25 years, maybe.
Now it's every 4.
Every 4.
That's the average in Rhode Island, I think. 48 months is
we have
for a
clients
homeowner.
that we have clients that we move every 2 years to a year and a half, a year, because they're moving from apartment to apartment while they're waiting for their house, right? So we've had clients that are in temporarily for a construction build.
Gotcha.
All of a sudden, that construction build, and people who are listening know that timeline might extend. All of a sudden, that 2-week time frame of being in storage turns into 2 months or 6 months. We've had clients in for a year or 2.
Wow.
And they thought, oh, we're going to have it done in 6 months. And then all of a sudden it's not done. And then it's in storage longer. No issue on our side. But by the time we get it out there, plans change, so we have to be flexible. And with that flexibility comes the know, and on your side, the knowledge that it's going to be safe. We're going to get it dealt with. Don't worry about your timeline. Just worry about getting the construction timeline to where you need it. On the moving side, we'll be ready, fit, and able to get it out for you in the timely manner when you're ready. But things change, things fluctuate, and those are the things that we have to have our guys in the know for, right? They're not going to show up and be upset as long as honesty, right? Every person I talk to and anything like this, it's honesty, right? We're honest, we're upfront. Some people would say we're almost too blunt or too in your face with it. But we want to make sure that customer has a great experience, and honesty starts that experience.
And that's what I love here is the 3 P's: purpose, pride, and passion.
Yeah.
You have all 3 of those.
We got a 4th.
What is the fourth?
People.
People.
People. Can't do it
Four
without
P's.
people.
Purpose, pride, passion, people. And how do they get in touch with you?
Best way to get in touch, you can start at our office, 401-383-6399. That's normally either Ray or Amanda on
Is
that
that
side.
24 hours or is there a voicemail?
That's a voicemail at that one. And I will give out my cell phone. I don't have that problem. 401-640-2763 is my direct line.
Wow.
That is always on. There are times where I put it on silent because if it's going to be a late night, early morning, it's going silent probably around 9:30, 10 o'clock. But other than that, no, we try to establish, and there's voicemails. You can go to our website, gmetzmoving.com, and there's a live chat there. You can get that information. You can get that going. You have to postpone your move. You have something last minute going on. We're good at being flexible and making it work. So
Cool, brother. Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure. Thank
And
you.
if you have any questions, throw them in the comments field below. We'll get right back to you. Once again, Greg Rice here in the bucket with GMETZ himself.